Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be looking at, listening to, and reacting to some of the first pieces I ever wrote. I've had this idea for a while now, and I did a little bit of it on stream actually, and it was a really illuminating experience, so I thought I would make it into a video. So here we are. We're going to listen to 3 different pieces in total, starting with a piano piece called Comet Trail, which I think is the second piece I ever wrote, and I believe that was in January of 2014. Much of it may or may not have been written during my 9th grade chemistry class. Unfortunately, the original finale file of this is lost. That's right, we're going to be using finale today. It's very exciting. But I do have a PDF and audio. First, we will listen through this, and I won't say anything, and then I will make my observations afterward. So here we go. This is Comet Trail, circa January 2014. Okay, so obviously the glissandi did not play there. That's okay. We can pretend. Noticing some just visual stuff at first. So the instrument is listed in every single thing here. Every single system has the instrument listed, which especially for piano music, you just don't need to do that. No one's gonna look at this and think like, oh, too bad I don't play harp because this looks like a harp piece. I think you can make an argument for like putting it as like a subtitle, like Comet Trail for piano. I think that's probably what I'd do now, and then just like leave all of this stuff totally blank. And then also the beats are really weirdly obscured, particularly right here. Like, I'm looking at this and I have no idea how I would read that in a performance, you know what I mean? Like, we have a big beat 3 right here, and then there's a like offbeat 16th note thing, and then these 3/16ths to go into the next bar. It's very weird. That is not how that should be notated. And then I also notice some pedal markings that just like randomly appear here, which like more power to you, but it's kind of weird that they only appear in this later section. Also, the ritardando should not be in between staves. It should go above the staff. And all tempo information needs to go above the top staff. So that's just some of the visual stuff that I noticed. And for a little bit of like me context, I had no theory background, which I think resulted in this piece being a situation where I was following like musical instincts rather than the like rules of music theory, if that makes sense. And I think that resulted in some good stuff. There is music in here that I like a lot more than my like later high school stuff because I thought that there were rules, and that like really trapped me. But then obviously there's also some weird stuff. There are little ideas that get repeated, like this rhythmic thing gets repeated pretty consistently. And then this, I guess, is like the melody. it's just, yeah, I mean, it gets repeated and not developed, but the other thing is that I didn't yet feel the like pressure from classical music to make my pieces super long, which I definitely did feel that later. And what that wound up resulting in was pieces that were super long with a bunch of things that were like repeated but not developed. But that's not the case here. It's like is it even like 2 minutes long? Let me see. Yeah, it's not even 2 minutes long. So it doesn't really matter that ideas don't get developed because it's such a short thing. And when I look at the harmonies, that's an instance where my lack of harmonic theory knowledge allowed me to do things that were weird, but it still feels sort of free. Like when we listen to some other stuff, you'll hear that I'm just absolutely trapped by the same 4 chords over and over again. But yeah, it's marked in A major, right? And there's this driving rhythmic thing at the beginning, but there aren't like any actual A major triads. And actually, I'm also noticing a few, like, they're almost 7th chords, but like without the 3rd. This could be a major 7 chord and then a G sharp half diminished 7 following that. Yeah, even here, this could be a D major 7 without the 5th. But I definitely didn't do that on purpose, which is kind of hilarious because major 7 chords are like my favorite type of chord. Now the tune itself, again, it has some like weird rhythmic oddities, but I think it's pretty clear that it's like driven by impulse. Like it feels almost natural. It feels more natural than I would expect. The weirdest part is definitely, again, this bit right here. But I think in general, it's kind of conservative enough to feel normal, I guess. The section where the like pedal marking stuff starts is pretty dull. Not a lot going on there. And then there's like these half note things. I guess there's like a sort of decrease in the rhythmic language, a sort of like rhythmic deceleration, and then this arpeggio, and then this gigantic chord, which is really funny. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Since it's such a short piece, we're just gonna listen to it one more time. Yeah, like that rhythmic driving thing in the left hand feels pretty normal. Normal is such a bad descriptor for music. Also, like, the dynamics are just kind of a mess. That's gonna continue, I'm certain. Where are we? Major 7 chord. See, I was like totally forming these just completely by accident, which is kind of awesome. Yeah, this is a little bit too much of that, I think. I wish these glissandos would play. It's interesting that I wanted to include that as part of the piece. Yeah, okay. I don't know. Overall, I think it's really interesting to see myself navigating writing without any grasp of theory. Like, yeah, it is kind of wonky, but I don't think it's entirely unsuccessful. And it definitely feels freer than a lot of the other music that I wrote. And so perhaps to give you a better example of what I'm talking about with regard to feeling trapped by a knowledge of theory, we're gonna jump several months ahead to, I believe, October or November of 2014. I had sort of just discovered Chopin and his nocturnes and was listening to them pretty much every night. And so I wanted to write my own nocturnes, which, if you don't know, a nocturne is just a piece that's inspired by the night. That's the entire meaning. Also, just want to put this caveat out there, since I've been saying the term music theory a lot. I have nothing against learning music theory. I think it can be an incredibly useful and powerful tool. What I have something against is the way I used to perceive music theory as sort of like concrete rules that I couldn't, or maybe just didn't want to break. I think another element of this is that while I was getting somewhat of a grasp of it, it wasn't really a lot. I knew rules existed, but I didn't really know what they all were, and so I was sort of just fumbling around in the dark, and this could evolve into a greater discussion of what music theory actually is, which is not what I thought it was for most of my life, but this is not the place for that at the moment. Point is, I didn't know what I was doing. Okay, so here is this lovely nocturne by me. And it's a little slower and a little longer, so I'm just gonna talk while we listen. Okay, we're gonna pause. So, I think another recent discovery I had made was the 21st Piano Concerto of Mozart, which sounds something like this. That's the little tune at the beginning, right? And I have to say, this this tune in the right hand here is pretty reminiscent of that. I think I was like trying to not copy Mozart while still copying Mozart. That's another thing I feel like I did a lot of. Let's keep listening from the second phrase. The same 4 against 3 thing. That I think is also in the Piano Concerto. Oh my goodness. Okay, that was really weird. That's like completely out of place, but like way more intricate than all of the other stuff here. Oh, I think it's gonna happen again. Now with octaves. That's a terrible transition. Oh my lord, okay. The triplets are kind of nice. I like that they're consistent. I think that's a good thing. Oh my god, it's gonna happen again. Just the same music repeated. Oh, that's interesting. There's like a kind of weird, like rhythmic, like modulation, basically. Like the old triplet eighth becomes the new straight eighth. Let's hear that again. That's kind of interesting. It's a little slower than the previous triplet. That's kind of cool. I don't think that was intentional at all. And this sounds a lot like the Song of Storms from Zelda. Oh, yep, this is gonna be... Okay, if you don't know the Song of Storms... This sounds a lot like that. It's got the same, like, chords, even. Sorry about the rhythm thing. I don't know why that's happening. But, yeah, that's, Again, trying not to copy it while still copying it. Because I didn't have my own voice to sort of adjust it to, if that makes sense. Okay, then we hear this again. It's very, like, dark for some reason. This doesn't exactly strike me as a nocturne, but I don't know. I don't know. What is this crescendo? Okay, this is not okay. Look at this right here. So ignore the retardando, but then there's a forte, which I don't know. We were probably already at forte. I don't know. A forte here, and then a crescendo to mezzo piano. There's no subito marking, but it's a crescendo to mezzo piano, and the what I will just assume is a mezzo or a subito mezzo piano is on not the actual transition, but the last beat of the final bar of this section is very, very weird. We're gonna listen to that again. How do I zoom out? Finale is one of the programs of all time. It just is weird. It sounds like a diminuendo, which is probably what I should have written. Apparently my way of differentiating this section from the beginning was just adding staccato dots in in the left hand. Oh, thank God it's only... Oh no, it is 2 repetitions. I guess it's short enough that it's okay. Lovely. Lovely trill right there. I like that it's not too terribly long. Like, it's, what is it? It's just over 3 minutes. It's not terrible, but I think it's markedly worse than the Comet Trail piece, which this again is several months later. The copying while trying not to copy thing is something that my high school stuff is just riddled with, because I kept hearing this idea that composers take from each other, right? And it made sense to me. Like, the music you write can't just come out of a vacuum, right? Like, it has to be inspired by something. So I kept hearing this idea that composers steal it from each other and then will like adjust the music to fit their own voice, but I didn't have my own voice to adjust it to. So it was like a really weird and half-hearted attempt to like make the music not be an exact copy of someone else's stuff. Okay, and in the spirit of that, we're going to look at something that is completely original and has no copying whatsoever. I can guarantee it. It was also written in 2014, but I remember it so vividly that I can guarantee you there is absolutely no stealing in this piece. All right, this is Have My Saliva is a Thing That Gnarlfeld Lincoln Said, a poem by Jordan Holloway, and it was written in April of 2014, so it's between the 2 previous pieces, and I actually wrote it with my friend Bella, and it's for soprano recorder, bass clarinet, and violin, as well as 3 narrators. I don't have 2 other people with me, so I'll just opt for the top line if there are ever like multiple lines happening at once. Otherwise, I'll just go through each of them, if that makes sense. Let's go ahead and give it a listen. Disc, disc, my father, I looked for the gray serpent. Oh, hark my footsteps, thudding through the halls of the innkeeper's bank. In the morning with a ghost of my past on the wind of my other past. Footsteps embedded in the lighter trance, more like the pond scare of my grandson. Blass and the grass. Blass and the grass. Blass and the grass. Blass and the grass. To the store. Grass. Honestly, I don't even know why I bothered going to music school when I was writing masterpieces like this at age 14. Honestly, I have half a heart to stop composing because I don't think I'm ever going to be able to match this. One day I'll be sure to get a good performance of this with all 3 narrators so that I can share it with you all. But unfortunately, that's all you get for now. There is both nothing and everything to be learned from this. And if you need any of it explained to you, then you probably just won't get it. Thanks so much for watching this video. I will definitely be making more like this in the future, so make sure you're subscribed if you want to see that. I'll be talking about much more than just writing for piano in the future as well. There were several severely misguided attempts at writing for orchestra in my high school years, so I'm gonna have a fun time with those. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.